Absolute true statesman of Missouri, former legislator, presiding commissioner of Clay County, Jerry Nolte. Thank you for the time.
Thank you for having me.
It is you walked those halls for several years, and now you've kind of got my good buddy John Carpenter with you now on the commission at Clay County. Well, Clay County is like a county that has exploded with growth, but you still have that traditional 3-commissioner governance, right?
No, actually, we have passed a constitution.
Now, when did that happen?
That happened in 2022.
22, gotcha.
So now we are a 7-member board, and John is still a member, and there are 7 of us now. So it really is something that was necessary because you're right, we are growing.
Well, you've grown so much. Tell what the advantages are to having the 7 over the 3.
The 7 over the 3, you've got a bigger bench, so you've got a better way to deal with needs as far as talent pool and all that. One of the big things is when you have an issue, and unfortunately Clay County had some history where we were not getting along, but with 7 people, yes, I know, but with 7 people, 2 individuals can get together if they care to and talk their issues through and not have to worry about violating sunshine law.
I love the pin. Looks great. I've got one of the old Clay County pins in my office. I had it on I was up there a month or 2 ago, and I stuck it on there. It's the regular old black with the gold letters, old Clay County pin.
Well, hold on.
Well, look at here.
There we are.
Well, I'm going to give you something then before you head out of here, but I'm going to put this on right now. Thank you, sir.
No problem.
So today you got to come up and see the state senate. I wrote a column, which I think, Kelton, you're going to put that on the website today, right?
Yes, sir.
It said about how this was essentially like a preseason game. The Chiefs come in, win the big Super Bowl. By the way, Kelton runs an illegal sports book, and he took the Chiefs, right, -2.
Absolutely, I did.
Came in. I took the Chiefs, but I set the line, though, at 7.5, which I thought was for Chiefs fans, you had to really think about that. The Chiefs would have the Chiefs were favored 7.5 to the Chiefs fans. They wouldn't have made that, but Kelton, I think you should let me set the lines from now on.
I guess if you want to.
So it was so funny. The Post-Dispatch, some folks have said they might be a little liberally biased. I don't know who, but maybe sometimes. But Kurt Erickson wrote a good story. It was up right almost the next morning about how the Chiefs Super Bowl win the parade would be on Wednesday and how this is going to wreck the week in the Senate. It was a very insightful piece by Kurt Erickson, and he was very right because you could just tell when before folks even started to come down here yesterday, this week was a washout. The Chiefs, if you wanted to see things pass, you should have rooted for the 49ers. If you didn't want to see things pass, the Chiefs came through for you in spades. Which here's the thing: you know that process inside and out. Losing those 2 days isn't going to make any difference in what ultimately pass or doesn't pass.
Not really. Yeah, you're right. It really doesn't necessarily. I thought you were going to say you remember the first Super Bowl.
The fourth one you might, right?
No, actually, I do remember the first Super Bowl.
Really?
Yeah. I am a little older possibly than I look, but no, you're right. A couple of days as far as the legislature goes, it gets made up. It'll work out. If you
lost these days at the end of April, that's a different story.
Yes.
But losing these days in the middle of February, I get it. It's a talking point, whatever. So they come in yesterday, and it was a straight up spring training preseason game. They come in at 4. Everybody knew they were leaving by 10. I don't think they had a quorum. I think they did a quorum call at 9:15, but it was I think they did have 18, but it wasn't. They didn't have 19, that's for sure. Today, I think everybody knew they were leaving at 5. They left at 4. I get it. If you're living and dying with every day, it could be frustrating, and it's not a great look. I'll be honest with you. I get it. There are folks that are frustrated, and they have every right to be. And if you're the opposition, if you're Bill Eigel, this is a gift to you. Now, you'd like to have went to Lincoln Days this weekend and said, we made them pass IP reform.
That would be nice. It'd be nice to be able to wave that flag around and say, hey, look what we did.
But, I'm going to give my buddy Carl from just south of here, down in Howell County, sent me this terrific stein. It's perfect, except my face is too wide and fat. I can't quite drink out of it, Carl. If you were pranking me, it was great. This is a replica of an old one. My stein of knowledge prediction is this. My stein of knowledge predicts that by Tuesday they will pass a bill. The Democrats will force them to have concurrent jurisdiction in it. It'll have all the silly ballot distractions in it. and the courts will rule it unconstitutional. And that's my prediction to you. And I think, however, it'll take long enough that if I had to guess, it'll put the governor to put the abortion IP on in November. Now, up in your neck of the woods, that will return fewer Republicans in the Northland, right?
Yeah. That's we are definitely a mixed bag on that kind of thing. But yeah, we got to concern ourselves with all those kinds of issues when they come up.
Clay County is overall reddish, purplish, but it is trending, especially in the southern part of that county, to be more and more Democrat. On the issue of abortion, this is just my white trash take on it.
Yeah,
folks are generally pro-life. They would rather vote for a pro-life candidate. However, the current law is a little more than they can stomach. Where are folks at?
I think you're right. I think that there's a reasonable position that a lot of people take. And the other thing you've got to think about, in my old legislative district, there were, I think, 4 or 5 Catholic churches within that particular district. So, there are a lot of Catholics like myself who are pro-life, but we understand that that there are certain, perimeters that we need to respect.
And I wonder if it trails down the ballot, because I think generally there's a lot of pro-life voters. But are they as pro-life as the current law? No, I think we saw in other states that might not be the case. We'll see what happens, but I think it could trigger. I think the end result of this could be they'll have to trade some legislation dying. Senator Rizzo's no fool. My gut tells me that where this ends up is some other Republican bills don't make it as a trade for this bill. And I'm not sure that whatever version passes out next week of the Senate, I'm not sure it ultimately even really ever becomes law. You know what I mean? Like they have some stuff about binding future constitutional provisions. Well, it's not real logic. I'll tell you this. I also think some of the folks that are pro IP reform, there are some folks in this state that have enough money. They're actually anti IP reform because they could afford to bankroll their whole IP. I think some of the people involved in this situation have been quietly working with some of the anti-IP reform people, right?
It wouldn't surprise. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that kind of a thing happened.
There's an old senator named Jason Crowell that used to just make those bills too good. And so I always wondered if he was actually for tort reform, because he would just keep adding to the bill. And oddly enough, some of those bills got kicked out by the courts. Now, I'm not saying he knew enough to concoct all that in his head, but if anybody was smart enough, it would have been him.
Yes, he was bright.
But I wonder if they're not being so pro-IP reform that they assure that this will get kicked off by the courts. I think they're in that territory of, and I think the Democrats know it.
I think so. And it's, it's very easy to outsmart yourself in some cases. But you're right. I mean, Senator Crowell was sharp. I mean, he was someone that did not he was no fool. And I remember working with him.
Fools very well.
No, he did not in the least. And just when you thought you had a beat on what he wanted and what he would accept, the game changed, turned around 180 degrees.
Speaking of, I had this terrific, I want to thank Cheryl in Columbia sending me these buttons. She sent me a handful, but the two here, I got a Wendell Bailey button. It says from its 88 Treasures race. I'll just send text Wendell a picture of this. See, but then my favorite politician of all time, Kit Bond in 1980. Now, Cheryl, thank you so much. If you know me, you know there is nobody I have a higher regard for than Kit Bond. Thank you so much for sending this to me. It'll be displayed back here. If you come down Jeff City one day, and I'll show you the full collection, what folks have sent me. Let's talk about kind of a bittersweet day for the Northland, right? The Royals announced a new stadium. Right. Well, I went up to your site in the Northland. It was beautiful. The drawings are beautiful. I don't really like baseball in like new age looking things, but boy, I tell you, it just looked like it made a lot of sense in the Northland.
It really did. I mean, one of the big things was that you had so much space, so you could really unfold it in a way that was going to really attract a lot of people. So I mean, while it's a shame we didn't get it, one of the things it does showcase is exactly what we are capable of producing on any kind of a large project.
Yes.
So that gives that people who see that, who have other projects in mind, can see that and say, you know what, Clay County, the Northland, can really put together a presentation, and they can really, they can make these things happen if we come to an arrangement.
Well, I tell you, the amount of acreage you have,
88 acres,
right there in a major American city. I mean, few people have that kind of acreage,
and under a unified ownership for the most part.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's That is a very, very that's a very tempting proposition for anybody who has a large scale development, and certainly anybody out there who has a large scale development, certainly give us a call. We're open for business.
But they are going downtown.
Yes, it sounds
pretty
like
stadium.
That. Mm-hmm.
I do. There's a charm to a downtown stadium.
I suppose so. Like I say, once it was clear that it was in Clay County. While I wish our friends south of the river, luck, and certainly the Royals. I became a little less focused on it.
Don't you think that it is good for the Royals to move to a new stadium? I mean, after the 10/26 terrorist attack in 1985, it probably would be good for them to move somewhere that's not tainted by that awful attack.
It is, and also a new facility has the opportunity to incorporate some real state-of-the-art security systems. You're able to really...
So you could stop someone like Dinkinger before he attacks next time.
I don't know if you can stop somebody who is totally crazy, but the thing is, you've got to play the odds. You've got to be able to at least make your best effort and make it difficult for people.
I'm just going to put you on the spot.
Sure.
Should the Royals put up a statue of Don Dinkinger, the greatest Royal in franchise history, at the new park? Or at least name a toilet at the old place for Dinkinger.
That sounds like a decision above my pay grade.
Well, I definitely think they should have a toilet at Busch Stadium named for Dinkinger. Now, that is true. And the President DeWitt, if you're watching, and it'd be dope if you were, I really think you should consider putting at least one toilet, the Don Dinkinger greatest Royal in franchise history toilet, and put it by patios, because then, that'll be fun. Let's talk about Kansas City, though.
Okay.
What an absolute time to be in Kansas City leadership. I mean, for the last 10 years, it feels like every time you talk to somebody in Kansas City, they're smiling. Their things are great. They have these I Heart KC things on all over.
Sure.
And a major part of that is Clay County.
I feel like we are one of the really engines driving this kind of economic renaissance that we're going through. We have land, we have entrepreneurial spirit all over. And so we've got the ability to really, I think, take off like a rocket. We're one of the fastest growing counties in Missouri, and our neighbor Platte County, I believe, is number one. So between Clay and Platte County, we're talking about a real dynamic situation here where, I mean, economic development can just go through the roof.
In the Northland, it's hard to tell which county you're in. I mean, it's just a line. If you drive through there, it's hard to keep track, but you produce a lot of political talent. I mean, you've got, Troy Luke Meyer lives up there, terrific fundraiser. Lauren Arthur has blazed a trail in the Senate. The potential new floor leader on the Democrat side, Ashley Awney's from the Platte County side. I think I have a terrific senator in Maggie Nurnberg. I mean, she just has the energy to probably filibuster a very, very long time on the floor, which I guess is what you want. Need a Democrat senator. But there's a lot of political talent you guys are producing. My buddy Carpenter. I mean, what a terrific person to have in government.
It's funny because, I mean, John and I have known each other. I've been friends with his parents, so I've known him since he was a little kid. And that's something that's interesting about the Northland is people who have been there for generations. And so, when I work with John or someone like that, it's not someone who just kind of popped out of nowhere, but it's someone that I have a previous relationship with outside of politics.
It just feels like if you talk to somebody in Kansas City right now, they are optimistic and excited about the potential of Kansas City. It just feels like a city and a community and a region on the rise.
Well, it very much is. And I want to always be a booster for Clay County. But so much of it is that we have the space to really expand and
the World Cup.
Yes.
What an awesome thing. I mean, you don't just get the World Cup.
It doesn't fall in your lap.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to be able to produce, to me, what a great recognition of the regional leadership. And that's got to go back 10 years to get the kind of momentum and put yourself in the spot. 10 years ago, if you would have said the World Cup's going to come to Kansas City, been like, yeah, whatever. There was a lot of folks that said, yeah, whatever, 2 years ago, right? But I tell you, I think it's a terrific capstone. And look, I'm not a soccer fan, but I understand the World Cup is an international event. What an amazing thing to bring these people in from all over the world. These are folks that can afford to go there, business leaders, civic leaders from the entire planet to come in to Kansas City and get to see what we've all kind of been noticing for a long time now.
And the opportunity to bring people of that caliber in and say, hey, this is a great place if you need to set up another office, another location for your business. If you're looking to whatever, this is a great place to expand your business.
Let's talk. You guys in Clay County joined the Missouri Association of Counties.
Yes.
It was one of a couple counties. I think now I think Hobbs has them all now. I think St. Charles and Clay were a couple holdouts, but I think they've ended up joining. And
Yes, we have.
I tell you, I really believe Steve Hobbs is a guy in the Capitol that everybody trusts, that everybody knows. It's term limits. Obviously, you've went on and been serving county government at a high level. People know you, and if you knew you from the Capitol days, of course. But a lot of folks don't even know you were at the Capitol. They probably just know you as the commissioner at this point. Hobbs just came in, and I mean, I think that people underestimate how many folks there are lobbying for St. Louis, Kansas City, even Columbia and Springfield to a certain extent. Who lobbies for rural Missouri? Who lobbies for counties? Who lobbies for you talk about federal encroachment. There's just as much state encroachment on counties. You talk about unfunded mandates from the federal government. The state government loves unfunded mandates. Yes. And I really think Hobbs and his crew, he's brought in Trent. That crew of folks do a great job.
Well, my third term in the legislature, he was one of the suite mates I had. He was in the same office. And I got to tell you, it was probably the most fun and the most productive time that I was in the legislature, because he's very humorous, very fun to be with. Yes. But on the other hand, he knows how to get things done, and his focus is phenomenal. So I'm really happy that we have been able to join Steve's group, because I think he's a guy.
It really matters to other counties in Northwest Missouri that a county that's growing and successful. I really do think it's a nod to some of these other counties that you're in the boat with them rowing on some of these issues. I think it stuck out when you weren't. And I think it matters a lot to folks, a lot more than folks want to admit, in Caldwell and Worth and Lewitt. I think it matters, those folks, that a county that everybody generally agrees is doing a lot of things right. When they join up and get in that boat with them, I think it really matters to them.
Well, it does. And one of the things that we've been working on, mostly with Platte, just because they are the proximity and they're similar size, but we've been trying to set up partnerships with Ray County, with Clinton County, with Platte County, all the others in the Northland area of Buchanan County, and working on issues that we have in common. And that is really what MAC is all about, is working on those issues that are important to county governments, regardless of size.
Yeah. And it's like, there's no way you can have any association and not have some divisions and priorities and things. Sure. That's just reality. But overall, there is a need in this state for somebody to step up and say, state government, do your job. Do it well. We're going to do our job. And just like you don't want the federal government, pushing you around, don't push us around. That's those county, you want to talk about where common sense lies in this state. As much as I love the folks over there, it ain't over the Capitol. It's in those county courthouses.
Well, the thing is, in county courthouses, you're dealing with the real situations, the things that are right in people's faces. You're dealing with potholes. You're dealing with bridges. You're dealing with local law enforcement. You are at ground zero when it comes to working with your constituents and serving them like you're supposed to do.
Let's talk one bill that came up last year, and I know this puts you in an awkward spot, but I was talking to my buddy Kevin Engler from Farmington, who's the county clerk down there now, former senator. There was a bill to cut property taxes for seniors. And I tell you, you guys may have had the most straightforward way to address it. It just was a poor piece of legislation.
It really needed work.
Constructed.
Yeah, there were some issues there that we've worked through, and I'm hoping. I talked to Senator Lukemeyer this morning, and we're hoping to work through some of those. And I think at the end of the day, we're going to come out with something that is truly beneficial to seniors.
That's a nice thing about having someone like yourself who knows Tony Lukemeyer well and go to him. It's a big deal it's a big deal for it shows such maturity and statesmanship, frankly, for someone like Tony Lukemeyer to say, yeah, there were factors at play here getting this done, but I'm willing to sit down at a piece of legislation that's got my name on it, and I'm willing to make sure it works. I think that shows a lot of statesmanship and just straight maturity on his part.
Well, I think we all have been, anybody who's been in the legislature for any period of time has passed a piece of legislation and then figured out that there were some flaws that I had not seen in it. It certainly has happened to me, and Tony is certainly a mature enough and a statesman enough to recognize when he's got to work through some things, and he is not showing pride. He's not showing a negative pride.
Vanity, yeah.
Yeah, he's showing the appropriate approach, which is how do I make it work?
Right? It's a great concept.
It is. Since the Homestead Preservation Act went away, we've needed something to fill this gap to give seniors some property tax relief. And when we got it at Clay County, we put together a task force and we studied it and we went through it as much as we could.
What'd you end up with?
Well, we ended up basically with something that one of the main features was we took out the Social Security part of it, and we took what was, I think, the intent of it, and that was making it a 62 years, being the 62 years old, being the qualification, because our concern was that we saw a lot of seniors who wouldn't qualify, retired teachers and people in government pensions may not do that, and our goal was to make sure that it was benefiting the maximum number of seniors possible.
Well, I got to tell you, when you come to Jeff City, there is a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
If you ain't stayed at it, you're missing out. When Carpenter ever comes back down to see me, he doesn't even return my text anymore because he's such a big shot now. He should come stay at the Courtyard by Marriott, the newest hotel in town. If you have a conference, it's the only place to go. Look, don't skimp. Don't skimp. Stay at the place that's good. Stay at the top place, Courtyard by Marriott. Plus, some folks Dan Hageman just got put on the MoDOT commission, represented the northern part of Clay County for a long time. And up in his neck of the woods, he's got a place called United Fiber. They do a heck of a job, such a good job. The city folks are wanting them to come in the city and run it. Take this. Here's a absolute United Fiber Yeti that we have. I'll trade you for this straight up for the pen.
There we go.
But the folks United Fiber, they know how to run. That rural broadband is so important. Even to what do you got up in north part of? Where's that place? I went to a wedding once in northeast Clay County.
Excelsior Springs.
Yeah, a little further up, I think.
Oh, Lawson.
Lawson, yes. Went to this place in Lawson. The hottest wedding I've ever been to. My cousin Amber. I literally, that day, Lawson was on the service of the sun, but was a great time and just a beautiful place up there in the northern part. That rural broadband probably comes in handy up in Lawson.
It does. And I've got to tell you, we talk about growth, and we're talking about some of the largest cities in Clay County. Lawson is one of those one of those cities in Clay County, and they are popping. They are really happening up there, and it's a pleasure doing business with them because you can just, some of the folks I deal with that government are just so on fire to get things done.
Gotta have rural broadband.
You do. If you don't have broadband, it's another utility. If you don't have water, if you don't have electricity, you don't develop. And broadband is one of those issues that you need to have if you're going to business.
Clay County is a microcosm. Every single technological innovation for 100 years drove people from the rural northern part of Clay County down into the southern part of Clay County.
Yes.
Rural broadband is the first thing that's allowed you to live in Lawson. If you want to live in Lawson, you're still, 30 minutes from the airport with traffic?
Not even, it's not bad at all.
Yeah.
I remember I had a business that I did, and there was a time when, and I don't think people remember long distance, but it was long distance to call Kearney.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, it was just that I had
to call Jesse James's house. You had to, I remember, I'll do you one better. I grew up with a party line back in the day. And so the phone would ring, and I remember this. It would ring so many times, depending on which person in the party line. Like I think we were ring 2. There were maybe 4, I think, on there. So however many times it rang, that would be yours. So Miranda, her name is Fickert now. It was Humphrey. Is kind of a shirt tail kin of mine. She lived up the gravel road, so she was on there. So when she'd answer the phone, and I could tell it'd be her, right?
Right.
Because I think she had a 3 ring. So she'd pick. I'd wait somebody to answer. Then, of course, I'd slide that button up and listen to her and her boyfriend. I start breathing heavy, and I used to torment Miranda. And the next day on the bus, I'd get that big smack on the head. But I remember the party lines were fun. But by the time I had a girl to call, we had our own line. That was over. But while she was older than me, I could eavesdrop on her conversation with boys and how much she loved them. And I had more fun with it than you'd think. Hageman's going to do great on that.
I think so. He's a great guy. I worked with him when we were both in the legislature, and I got to tell you, he's a quality gentleman.
Right now, so the worlds are off and running downtown.
Yes.
Obviously, a lot of moving parts to that, a vote and all this. Hypothetically, if that for some reason stalls, is Clay County still ready to go?
I think we are always open to talk to people about opportunities.
I talked to that guy that was the ramrod of that project. That dude seems like he's got it together.
Well, the thing is,
I go to your pickleball court.
Oh yeah,
my daughter wants to play pickleball. I've got to go play. What was it? Chicken and pickle.
Chicken and pickle. Yeah.
What a cool looking place.
It's great.
I've heard of pickleball, never played it, but just seeing these people, I wanted to play pickleball.
Well, actually, and I won't tell you which one, but we had our class reunion down there.
Oh, no kidding.
Suffice to say, it was a good sized number.
Well, my daughter's into it. We're gonna go to Disneyland this weekend.
Oh, nice.
When we get back, I'm gonna learn how to play pickleball. I'm kind of stoked for it. I played racquetball a couple times, but it was funny. The guys were at least 20 years older than me and just whipped me like a dog. I was like the guy on Wall Street. I would run from one side to the other side, and I'm lumbering around, and they could just spin that ball. It was an ugly scene to watch. Okay. Our friend that you served with, my old boss, Rod Jetton, is back in the Capitol.
He is.
And I have had so back to the place where Crowell lived, when I lived there, and Rod, that would go back to, my God, we're back 15 years now, no more than that.
More than that.
Then Rod moved out. I know Kelton's laughing at how old I am. So Rod moves out, Crowell moved out, Rod moved out. And there was a piece of artwork left that I have treasured that I put in the bathroom back then, that is transferred across the street here to my new place to the bathroom, that I brought down to unveil to you. You're going to love this. Before I unveil it, let me tell everybody, March 5th, if you're free, our state's Woman of the Year, Cindy O'Loughlin, we're going to honor her.
Oh, wonderful.
Plus, we have our Women Legislators auction. We auction off a series of items that fund scholarships. We raised $25,000 last year. We want to beat that this year. Gretchen Banger, she was right about how we're going to do the auction. We're going to do it her way this time, not my way. Gretchen was right. I was wrong. We got this great Chris Jones who had a heck of a Super Bowl signed helmet. So March 5th, if you're around, would love to have you.
That'd be fun.
Bring that wallet, raise a little money for some scholarships. And then the piece of artwork. How about this? So Kelton, can you zoom in here in case people can't see what we got here? So this says, my parents, Jerry Nolte at the kind of end of session party, who's a terrific artist, would take these toilet seats, and it was the Asshole of the Year award. And it says, my parents said I could be anything I wanted. So, and if you'll lift up here, we see Rod Jetton, and he says, so I became an asshole. And then what's even better, going back here, there's a picture of Rod at SBU cleaning a toilet, which is awesome and hilarious. This was 08, so this is last year's speaker. Mm-hmm. And I got to go through these signatures. Some of you won't know who these folks are, but Google them, and the ones that do, you'll love this. Don LaGrasso. Oh, the perfect one. 0099 0102. Don LaGrasso, the perfect one. Rod, you earned it. Brian Pratt, who's still in government today. This is the one with the worst penmanship. This is with luck, you'll be as big an asshole as mine. 06 award winner Steve Hunter. Then you have this is one of my favorite ones. Rod, welcome to our ranks. Cooper, 07. Love it. Then this is the one that I bet you meant the most to Rod. Rod, you're not half the asshole I am, but still congratulations and welcome aboard. Jason Crowell, 03 and 04 back-to-back winners. Nice. So if I'm going to move this now to the speakeasy so more people can enjoy this. So if you come by, and if you're in the bathroom, don't be afraid to lift. It'll be hanging on the wall. Lift this up, and you'll get to see now the new top staff guy in the house, the old speaker, Rod Jetton, smiling back at you. Jerry Nolte, thank you so much for the time. I sure enjoyed the visit. And I hope you get back down. You'll shoot me a text. Come by and join us again.
I would love to do that. It's been a lot of fun. I love your new studio here. Well, I don't know how new this is, but this is great.
I've been doing it for a while. We kind of added a few things here and there. I've got to find, speaking of Kansas City, I had this give to me, and I got to find the right spot for this. And I got our Doug Libla. We've got a little bit more than we know what to do with, so I've got to have to figure out how we maneuver things. I've got a Rizzo sign I'm going to unveil for you guys. Maybe sometime before spring break. But Commissioner, thank you so much. Tell Carpenter I said I didn't ask him why he doesn't return my text anymore.
I will do that. I will.
Of course, that may be self-evident, right?
Well, I will certainly not recognize him until he has done so.
Well, that's a friend right there. Not just a pin. That's what a United Fiber Yeti will get you. We will see you Sunday this week in Missouri Politics. We are going to have Hannah Beer's going to come in. I'm going to Disneyland. The Chiefs won the Super Bowl, and I'm going to Disneyland. So Hannah's going to host the show. We'll see you guys Sunday with Hannah, but I'll be back Monday, Tuesday of next week. Oh, and by the way, before we go, Monday night here in Jeff City, the Cole County Lincoln Days. I guess they're out of people to ask. I'm going to be the guest speaker. We're going to talk all things good Southern Missouri folks talk about. Come join us, Capitol Plaza, 7 o'clock. We'll have a good time with it. We'll see you hopefully Sunday with Hannah, Monday with me at Cole County. Then we'll be back here with the Midweek Update on This Week in Missouri Politics.